Hey, what's up, guys? It's John Dominique, the Soul Proponent, and today I want to take a look at the role of evidence on the path to God. Um, this is a topic that seems to pop up pretty often around these forums that I frequent, and everyone keeps talking about where's the evidence, where's the evidence. There's a couple of things we need to talk about here. The first thing is, why do we want evidence in the first place? And if we look at it deeply enough, we can see that we're looking for some type of certainty, some type of assurance, some type of security. And we think we can get that outside of ourselves. We think the way to get the certainty is by getting an idea of what we think the evidence is going to be. I can tell you this is both a blessing and a curse. The reason it's a blessing is because it shows us something. It shows us that that is not the way. So we've learned by process of elimination. We know that we're trying to get the evidence. We keep trying to get it. We don't get it. So we need to learn that that's not the way. We can try as hard as we want all day, all night. It's not going to change the truth. Um, this is kind of something that we need to see because most people they don't understand that the harder they try, the less likely they are to get the evidence. The evidence is not um, obtained by effort. It's uh, obtained by a lack of effort, reversing the need to try, reversing the desire for evidence, reversing the desire to have any desires at all. It's very counterintuitive, but this is the truth. You can try and see for yourself in your own experience. Um, the reason that the role of evidence is like a blessing is because, again, it shows us the truth. That the harder we try to get the evidence, the less likely we are to receive it. So we need to understand our motivations, where we're coming from. It's a journey to the interior of our consciousness. It's not looking outside of ourselves somewhere. Asking for evidence from someone else is not going to work. You're looking outside of yourself. That's not where the path to the evidence. That's not the path to get the evidence. The path is to go deeper inside your own consciousness and to understand yourself, your desires, why you want evidence, and to undo, unravel, unlearn the tendency to acquire, attach, the tendency to put forth effort. It's a tall order. It's very difficult, but it's doable if we understand what's happening. We just need understanding. And if we don't drop our desire for the evidence and to see how it becomes a block, then it won't happen. So we have to do the work to do that. No one's going to do it for us. So someone can't give you the evidence on a platter because it's your job to go inside yourself to do what needs to be done to have an experience of a spiritual awakening. No one can do that for you. You can't get the evidence outside yourself. You keep asking other people for evidence, you're not going to get it. You can't get it from outside yourself. You have to understand that. People will just, okay, they say they understand that, but then they keep asking you, where's the evidence? It's like, I just told you, you can't get the evidence from outside yourself. Go inside yourself. The path is inside yourself. You can't ask me for the evidence. If you keep asking me, that means you don't understand. That's important. So that's important to see why we want the evidence and the role of evidence, how it can be a block and how it can be a blessing at the same time. But basically, we got to understand that you can't get the evidence because it's the evidence that gets us. This is something that we have to experience. We can talk about this all day, but if you don't walk it, if you don't practice it, if you don't feel it directly as a first-hand experience, a direct first-hand experience, it's not going to do anything. You just talk, but no show. That's not how the path works. You can pretend all day. You can rationalize. You can try to pretend, oh, I already tried. No, you didn't. You didn't go all the way. So you can't get the evidence because it's the evidence that gets you. It's a reversal. It's a undoing of your identity, an erasing of everything you've built up, everything you've invested into this identity of who you take yourselves to be. Once that's gone, once that's reversed, till there's nothing left, you keep going into that nothingness and allow that nothingness to be there and accept it. And the emptiness is the beginning, not the end. That's the beginning of allowing space to manifest as who and a big part of who and what you are. But you have to notice how we resist that all the time, because we're always trying to get the evidence. We're trying to reach outside of ourselves. We don't want that space. We don't want the emptiness. We're always turning away from it by trying to get evidence. Trying to get evidence it's not the path. It's the reversal of the path. You're going the wrong way, basically. You can't get the evidence gets you. Also, another part of the evidence is that in childhood, there's a stage where we feel omnipotent. All right, people want to rationalize that away as, oh, that's not evidence for God. That's just evidence that we feel omnipotent as children. What's the source of that omnipotence? Where does it come from? I don't know. That's the answer most people give. Okay, you don't know, so there's more mystery. That's part of the path. That's part of God. You'll never know. It's a mystery, an ongoing mystery that never ends. The further you go into the mystery, the more mysterious it gets. That's part of the path. That's part of God. That's a characteristic of God. But you don't want to use that as evidence. That effect is not, people want to say that effect is not God. That effect is just the effect of there being a mystery. Well, it depends on how you interpret it. If you've had an experience of spiritual awakening and you know there's a God and you know it's mysterious, then you attribute that as evidence of God. But if you're all in your mind all the time trying to rationalize it away, no, that's not God, that's not God, you're trying to deny it, then that's the way you interpret it as not evidence for God. So it's your choice how you interpret that. I'm not here to tell you how to interpret things. You find out for yourself. That's the way it works. Another piece of evidence for God is space. Manifestation of what's infinite and eternal. Again, people will say, oh, that's just a manifestation of what's infinite and eternal. That's not evidence for God. It's just evidence for what's infinite and eternal. Again, you decide how to interpret that. It's not up to me. But the evidence is there. You can do the work to find out for yourself. And that's the only way to do it. That's the only way to convince yourself to know that there's a God. And then also we need to take into consideration that a lot of people have these double standards. They say, oh, those effects of infinity and eternity are not effects of God. But they do take the fact that, the effects of a black hole as evidence for a black hole, but they won't take the effects of God as evidence for God. We need to consider that double standard and why. People just want to rationalize it away, be a hypocrite. Yeah, whenever it's convenient, I'll just take the evidence for God to be evidence of God. But when it's not convenient, the evidence for a black hole is evidence for a black hole, but evidence of God or the effects of God are not evidence for God. Why the double standard? We need to figure that out. So these are important aspects we need to understand and see and to talk about that play a big role on the path to God. And it's just a matter of understanding and experience. John Dominique, the Soul Proponent.